Chapter 4: Trading Floor Dynamics. The trading floor at Morgan Stanley is exactly what you'd expect from a company that's been facilitating wealth transfer from poor people to rich people since 1935. My desk overlooks the Hudson River through floor-to-ceiling windows that cost more to install than most people's houses. The Herman Miller embody chair I'm sitting in costs $4,000. My Bloomberg terminal displays real-time market data from every major exchange in the world. Right now I'm watching a cryptocurrency called Orphan Coin that I launched last week through a shell company in the Cayman Islands. The marketing campaign features pictures of starving children in Africa with the tagline, "Every transaction helps orphan children find permanent homes." What the investors don't know is that 0% of the proceeds go to charity and 100% goes directly into my offshore accounts. The token has gained 300% in value over the past 72 hours, which means desperate middle-class parents are investing their children's college funds thinking they're helping starving orphans when they're actually funding my yacht purchase. The beautiful irony is that most of my followers on TikTok are teenagers and young adults who think cryptocurrency will make them rich enough to escape their parents' middle-class mediocrity. They have no understanding of market manipulation or regulatory capture or the mathematical impossibility of everyone getting rich from the same investment strategy. They just see my lifestyle content and assume that buying the same tokens I promote will somehow transfer my success to their pathetic lives. What they don't realize is that I'm literally betting against their success while encouraging them to invest money they can't afford to lose. Matthews walks over to my desk wearing what appears to be a Tom Ford suit in navy blue that probably costs $8,000. His shirt is white cotton with French cuffs and gold cufflinks that might be Cartier but are probably just expensive fakes from Canal Street. His tie is Hermes silk in a conservative pattern that suggests he's trying to project old money respectability despite growing up in New Jersey and working his way through Rutgers on student loans that he's probably still paying off. His shoes are John Lobb Oxfords in black leather that cost $1,500 and are the kind of investment that middle-class people make when they're trying to signal success to people who actually have money. "Preston," Matthews says while settling into the guest chair next to my desk with the casual confidence of someone who doesn't realize that I view him as a useful but ultimately disposable business partner. "I've got some interesting opportunities from our contacts in Miami." Matthews handles money laundering for various criminal organizations that need to convert cash into legitimate investments without triggering federal reporting requirements. His clients include drug dealers, human traffickers, tax evaders, and political corruption schemes. The beautiful thing about working with Matthews is that he thinks we're partners when really I'm just using him to access criminal markets that I couldn't penetrate on my own. When the federal investigation eventually uncovers our activities, Matthews will be the one facing prison time while I'm protected by regulatory capture and political connections that he doesn't even know exist. "What kind of opportunities?" I ask while simultaneously placing trades on my computer that will manipulate the price of Orphan Coin and generate another $2 million in profit before lunch. "Cryptocurrency mining operation in El Salvador," Matthews explains while pulling out his phone to show me photos of what appears to be a legitimate industrial facility. "Our clients need to invest $40 million in something that looks completely legal on paper but generates returns that can't be traced back to their original activities." The photos show rows of cryptocurrency mining equipment in a warehouse that could be anywhere in Central America. The beautiful thing about cryptocurrency mining is that it's the perfect money laundering vehicle because the inputs are electricity and hardware and the outputs are completely digital assets that can be moved anywhere in the world without physical transportation. You can put dirty money into buying mining equipment and electricity and get clean cryptocurrency out the other end. It's like a washing machine for criminal profits, except the detergent is blockchain technology and the rinse cycle is regulatory ignorance. "What's the return profile?" I ask while calculating how much I can skim off the top without Matthews or his clients noticing the discrepancy. 12% annually guaranteed plus upside potential based on Bitcoin price appreciation, Matthews replies while swiping through more photos that show legitimate-looking business licenses and regulatory compliance documents that are probably fabricated. The mining operation is completely legal under Salvadoran law and the profits can be repatriated through standard cryptocurrency exchanges. This is exactly the kind of opportunity that I specialize in because it allows me to profit from other people's criminal activities without directly participating in the underlying crimes. I'm not selling drugs or trafficking humans or evading taxes. I'm just providing financial consulting services to people who happen to be criminals. It's like being a defense attorney, except instead of arguing for reduced sentences, I'm arguing for reduced fees and increased profits. I can structure this through one of my Cayman Islands entities, I tell Matthews while pulling up incorporation documents on my computer screen. Standard fee structure is 20% of invested capital plus 15% of annual returns. All transactions settled in Bitcoin or Ethereum depending on client preference. Matthews nods enthusiastically because he doesn't understand that my fee structure will result in me making more money from his client's investment than the clients themselves will make. 20% of $40 million is $8 million up front. 15% of annual returns means I'll make at least another $720,000 per year for as long as the mining operation continues. Meanwhile, Matthews will probably get a finder's fee of 1 or 2%, which means he's doing most of the work for a fraction of the compensation. Perfect, Matthews says while standing up to shake my hand with the kind of firm grip that insecure people use when they're trying to project confidence. I'll set up a meeting with the clients for next week. They prefer to do business in person when the numbers get this large. After Matthews leaves, I spend the next hour researching cryptocurrency mining operations in El Salvador and discovering that the regulatory environment is even more favorable than I initially thought. The country has declared Bitcoin legal tender, which means cryptocurrency transactions are treated the same as cash transactions for tax and reporting purposes. This creates incredible opportunities for money laundering because you can convert criminal proceeds into Bitcoin and then use that Bitcoin for legitimate business transactions without triggering any financial reporting requirements. The lunch meeting with Pemberton from Goldman Sachs takes place at Le Bernardin, where the prix-fixe menu costs $215 per person before wine, and the waiters speak in hushed tones like they're discussing state secrets instead of fish preparation techniques. Pemberton is wearing what appears to be a Brioni suit in charcoal gray that probably costs $12,000 and fits perfectly across his shoulders and chest. His shirt is white cotton with a spread collar and mother-of-pearl cufflinks that definitely cost more than most people's monthly rent. His tie is navy blue silk with a subtle geometric pattern that suggests Hermes or maybe Brunello Cucinelli. His shoes are black leather captos that are either John Lobb or Edward Green and have been polished to a mirror shine that reflects the restaurant's ambient lighting. Pemberton went to Harvard Business School, where he probably joined the right clubs and made the right connections and learned how to manipulate financial markets without technically breaking any laws. He's probably worth somewhere between $50 and $100 million, which makes him wealthy enough to be interesting but not wealthy enough to be threatening. His wife probably went to Wellesley or Barnard and spends her time organizing charity fundraisers and redecorating their Hampton house. His children probably go to private schools that cost $60,000 per year and will eventually attend Ivy League universities, where they'll learn to perpetuate the same system of wealth concentration and economic exploitation that made their father successful. Preston, Pemberton says while settling into his chair with the casual elegance of someone who has never worried about money or status or social acceptance. Thanks for making time for lunch. I know your schedule is completely insane these days. Always happy to make time for profitable conversations, I reply while signaling the sommelier to bring a bottle of Chassagne Montrachet that costs $400 and will probably be wasted on someone who thinks Kendall Jackson Chardonnay is adequate wine for business entertaining. I've got a situation that I think might interest you, Pemberton continues while unfolding his napkin with the kind of precise movements that suggest military academy training or obsessive-compulsive disorder. Pension fund in Ohio is looking to diversify into alternative investments. $2 billion in assets under management. Very conservative board, but they're under pressure to generate higher returns. This is exactly the kind of opportunity that I live for because pension funds are the perfect victims for cryptocurrency manipulation schemes. The fund managers are sophisticated enough to understand complex financial instruments but not sophisticated enough to recognize sophisticated fraud. The board members are politically appointed bureaucrats who care more about avoiding blame than maximizing returns. The beneficiaries are middle-class workers who don't understand finance and trust their retirement savings to people who are either incompetent or corrupt or both. What kind of returns are they targeting? I asked while calculating how much money I can extract from $2 billion in pension fund assets before anyone notices the discrepancies. 8 to 10% annually, Pemberton replies while studying the wine list like he's reading a legal contract. They're currently getting 4% from Treasury bonds and municipal debt, but inflation is eating into their real returns. The actuaries are projecting a funding shortfall within 15 years unless investment performance improves significantly. The beautiful thing about pension fund fraud is that the consequences are delayed by decades, which means the perpetrators are usually retired or dead by the time anyone discovers what happened. The workers who are contributing to these funds today won't realize they've been robbed until they try to retire and discover that their promised benefits don't exist. By then the money will be safely offshore and the people who stole it will be living in countries that don't have extradition treaties with the United States. I have exactly what they need, I tell Pemberton while pulling up my phone to show him fabricated performance data for cryptocurrency hedge funds that exist only on paper. Diversified cryptocurrency portfolio with built-in risk management protocols. Historical returns of 15 to 20% annually with volatility that's actually lower than traditional equity markets. The lies come so naturally that I almost believe them myself. The cryptocurrency portfolio consists entirely of tokens that I've created and manipulated through coordinated social media campaigns and fake trading volume. The risk management protocols are algorithms designed to hide losses rather than prevent them. The historical returns are completely fabricated numbers that I've generated using Excel spreadsheets and Adobe Photoshop. But the presentation looks professional and the numbers look compelling, and Pemberton doesn't have the technical expertise to verify any of the underlying claims. This looks very interesting, Pemberton says while scrolling through fake testimonials from satisfied investors who don't actually exist. What's your fee structure for institutional clients? 2% management fee plus 20% of returns above 8% annually, I explain while thinking about how much money I'll make from stealing the retirement savings of Ohio public employees. Very competitive compared to traditional hedge fund pricing, but with significantly better risk-adjusted returns. We spend the next 2 hours discussing investment philosophy and risk management and regulatory compliance while eating food that costs more than most pension fund beneficiaries spend on groceries in a month. Pemberton asks all the right questions but doesn't understand that my answers are carefully crafted dissections designed to separate him from his client's money. He's concerned about volatility and liquidity and regulatory oversight, but he's not concerned enough to conduct proper due diligence or independent verification of my claims. By the time we finish lunch, I've convinced Pemberton to recommend my cryptocurrency hedge fund to the Ohio Pension Board. $2 billion in assets under management means $40 million in annual management fees plus performance bonuses that could reach another $100 million per year. When the fund inevitably collapses, the pensioners will lose their life savings and have to work until they die or depend on their children for financial support. But Pemberton will have earned his finder's fee and I'll have moved the money offshore, and everyone will blame market volatility rather than deliberate fraud. The afternoon compliance meeting is mandatory for all senior staff and focuses on new regulations regarding cryptocurrency trading and anti-money laundering procedures. The meeting is led by Jennifer Walsh from the legal department, who is wearing what appears to be a tailor suit in navy blue that costs maybe $300 and fits poorly across her hips and shoulders. Her blouse is white polyester from Banana Republic and her shoes are black leather flats from Clark's that suggest she prioritizes comfort over style. Her jewelry consists of a wedding ring that's probably platinum but definitely not expensive, and pearl earrings that are either cultured or completely fake. Jennifer went to some state law school where she probably graduated in the top 10% of her class and got hired by Morgan Stanley because they needed to meet diversity quotas for female attorneys. She's probably married to another lawyer who works at a mid-tier firm doing personal injury cases or real estate closings. They probably live in Westchester County in a colonial house with a 2-car garage and send their children to public schools that they think are good because they've never seen what real educational excellence looks like. Her annual salary is probably around $200,000, which sounds impressive to people who don't understand that $200,000 in New York is basically poverty wages for someone with her educational credentials. The new FinCEN regulations require enhanced due diligence for all cryptocurrency transactions exceeding $10,000, Jennifer explains while clicking through a PowerPoint presentation that makes regulatory compliance look complicated and burdensome. This includes customer identification verification, source of funds documentation, and suspicious activity reporting for any transactions that don't fit normal patterns. The beautiful irony is that these regulations are designed to prevent exactly the kind of money laundering and market manipulation that I specialize in, but they're written by people who don't understand how modern financial crime actually works. The regulations focus on transaction amounts and customer identification but ignore the more sophisticated methods of regulatory evasion like shell company layering and cryptocurrency mixing protocols and offshore jurisdiction shopping. It's like trying to stop bank robbery by requiring customers to show identification when they make deposits. What constitutes a suspicious transaction pattern? Asks Williams from the derivatives desk, who is probably concerned that his own trading activities might trigger regulatory scrutiny. Williams is wearing what appears to be a Brooks Brothers suit in gray pinstripe that costs maybe $1,500 and suggests middle management aspirations rather than senior executive achievement. His shirt is light blue cotton with a button-down collar that went out of style sometime during the Reagan administration. His tie is red silk with a conservative pattern that screams Republican Party fundraiser or country club golf tournament. His shoes are brown leather wingtips that need resoling, and his watch is a Rolex Submariner that's either a very good fake or a genuine piece that he bought used from someone who needed cash quickly. Any transaction that doesn't fit the customer's normal profile, Jennifer replies while reading directly from regulatory guidance that was probably written by federal agents who have never worked in the financial industry. Large cash deposits, frequent international wire transfers, purchases of bearer instruments, or investments in high-risk jurisdictions. This is exactly the kind of regulatory theater that allows people like me to operate with impunity while creating the illusion of government oversight and consumer protection. The regulations are designed to catch unsophisticated criminals who make obvious mistakes like depositing large amounts of cash or using their real names on suspicious transactions. Meanwhile, sophisticated operators like me use regulatory arbitrage and jurisdictional complexity to structure transactions that are technically legal even when they're obviously criminal in intent. The meeting continues for another hour with discussions of compliance procedures and reporting requirements and internal controls that sound impressive but are actually meaningless because they're based on the assumption that financial criminals are either stupid or careless. The reality is that successful financial criminals are usually more intelligent and better educated than the regulators who are trying to catch them. We understand the system better because we've spent years learning how to exploit it, while the regulators have spent years learning how to follow rules that were written by people who don't understand the current reality of financial markets. After the compliance meeting, I return to my desk to find that Orphan Coin has gained another 40% in value, which means my total profit for the day is now approaching $4 million. The token's success is being driven by social media influencers who are promoting it to their followers without disclosing that they're being paid to create artificial demand. Most of these influencers are young women with large social media followings who think they're promoting a legitimate charity token that helps orphan children find homes. They have no idea that they're actually helping me steal money from their own followers who trust their investment recommendations. The beautiful thing about social media manipulation is that it's completely legal as long as you structure the payments correctly and use the right disclaimers. I pay the influencers through shell companies that are technically providing marketing services rather than investment advice. The influencers post content that is technically educational rather than promotional. The followers make investment decisions that are technically voluntary rather than coerced. Everyone involved can claim plausible deniability even though the entire scheme is obviously designed to defraud retail investors. By 5 o'clock I've made more money today than most people make in several years. Tomorrow I'll make even more because the cryptocurrency markets never close and my manipulation algorithms never sleep. The beautiful thing about being rich is that money makes money faster than work makes money. Once you reach a certain threshold of wealth, the system starts working for you instead of against you. Poor people work for money, but rich people make money work for them. It's the difference between being a slave and being a slave owner, except the slaves are voluntary and the whips are invisible and the plantation is global.